Hello, Washington Commanders fans. Bobby Wagner, our legendary linebacker and winner of the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, may be leaving the team as a free agent. But it doesn't stop there. Let's dive into the shocking release of Tyler Biadasz, our starting center, leaving a giant hole in the offensive line with no clear solution in sight. And there's more. You will understand exactly what Adam Peters looks for in a pass rusher and why arm length is so important for Durante Jones's new system. And, of course, don't forget to like. It's just a click, and it helps me a lot. Washington Commanders linebacker Bobby Wagner is a free agent this offseason, and the team needs to urgently decide whether to bring him back or not. With Durante Jones coming in as the new defensive coordinator, it remains to be seen if Wagner will stay with the Commanders or join a new team next season. As a fan who has seen Wagner lead our defense, this is a decision that leaves me torn. He has been a strong leader for Washington over the last 2 years and ended the season recording his 2,000th career tackle, becoming only the third player in NFL history to reach that impressive milestone, wrote ESPN reporter John Keim. He dealt with a knee issue at the end of the season, but he has proven to be resilient, having played in 68 consecutive games. Although he still played well against the run, he will turn 36 in June, and it's uncertain how he would fit into Jones's system, Keim continued. Wagner is good at blitzing, but the Commanders have been insisting on wanting more athletic and faster players on the defensive line for the new system. Wagner has been a key piece of the Commanders' defense over the last 2 years, so the team would miss him greatly if he were on another roster next season. Wagner may prefer to sign with a team that has a better chance of reaching the Super Bowl, which would likely mean he wouldn't return to the Commanders. Commanders head coach Dan Quinn has known Wagner for nearly his entire professional career. Quinn was his defensive coordinator with the Seattle Seahawks, and this connection brought Wagner to the Commanders when Quinn became the head coach in 2024. Quinn expressed his pride in Wagner after he won the league's Walter Payton Man of the Year award. "We are all here, and we are incredibly proud of him. Of the amount of work he has dedicated to himself and others," Quinn said. "Being a part of that was incredible. I was so happy to learn he had been named the Walter Payton Man of the Year, but I wasn't surprised at all. So, for all of you who heard his speech in the I Understand You, if I could say how many times I've heard I understand you, and knowing that he was serious, it meant everything to me," Quinn continued emotionally. "So, I was extremely proud of him and what he represents for our organization." Wagner is likely to sign with a team for the 2026 season next month, when the free agency period begins. As a fan, I hope he finds a place where he can continue his legendary career. And now, get ready for the shocking news. You will find out how the Commanders released Tyler Biadasz, our starting center, creating a huge gap in the offensive line with no apparent solution on the horizon. The Washington Commanders have a lot of work to do this offseason, with the crucial 2026 season ahead and many changes needed. The coaching staff underwent a revamping this offseason, and now it's time to work on the roster aggressively. The Commanders have 31 players with expiring contracts and many glaring needs to address in free agency and the NFL draft. General Manager Adam Peters is expected to make big moves in the coming weeks, but no one anticipated the next move that shocked everyone. The Commanders announced the release of starting center Tyler Biadasz, and there is no clear answer as to why and who will be the replacement. The Commanders' list of needs is long, and we can now add that of a starting center after Biadasz's shocking release. He is only 28 years old and has been a very solid center for Jaden Daniels and the Commanders throughout his career. The only reason I can think of for Biadasz's release is the injury he suffered against the Dallas Cowboys in Week 17. Perhaps the injury was much worse than initially expected. If that's not the case, then I am even more concerned about the organization's decision. We aren't sure if the release occurred before or after June 1st, which makes a significant financial difference for the team. A release before June 1st saves only $2.8 million with an $8.1 million impact on the salary cap. A release after June 1st saves $8.28 million in 2026 and has only a $2.7 million impact on the salary cap. From what I understand, teams can designate a release after June 1st, prior to the start of the new league year, but the salary cap savings only go into effect on June 2nd. This is great, as the Commanders are among the top 5 in salary cap space in the NFL. Regardless of the financial situation, the Commanders need to find a new starting center, especially now that Jaden Daniels is playing more frequently in that position for the first time in his professional career. The main name to stand out this offseason will be Tyler Linderbaum, center for the Baltimore Ravens, but it is highly unlikely he will hit the market as the top free agent. The Ravens are working on a deal to keep him with the team and may still use the franchise tag on him. Even if Linderbaum leaves the Ravens, he is one of the favorites to reunite with John Harbaugh in New York. This is a very weak draft class for centers, and none of them stand out as starters in my opinion. The Commanders need to look to free agency for a solution. There are a few underrated names that should hit the market, and others may join them with surprise cuts from other teams in the league in the coming weeks. According to multiple sources, the Washington Commanders are officially releasing starting center Tyler Biadasz. According to The Athletic, the team decided that it would be best to move in a different direction after he started 31 games between 2024 and 2025. Biadasz, 28, ended the 2025 season on injured reserve after suffering ankle and knee injuries in a Christmas Day loss to the Dallas Cowboys. Biadasz, selected for the Pro Bowl with Dallas in 2022, was a starter in 84 of his 92 games with the Cowboys and the Commanders. He was chosen in the 4th round of the 2020 draft by the Cowboys, coming from the University of Wisconsin. As a fan, this release leaves me confused about the team's future plans. And now, to wrap up with the strategic view. You will understand exactly what Adam Peters is looking for in a pass rusher, and why arm length is so important for Durante Jones's new system. The Washington Commanders are in Indianapolis this week, evaluating hundreds of promising NFL players who may be selected in this year's draft. One position the Commanders are specifically looking for is that of a frontline player, and General Manager Adam Peters shared a little insight into what he is watching. Evaluating defensive line players, only those who fit your scheme and your profile, Peters said. And we have a new scheme this year with defensive coordinator Durante Jones, but I think a lot of things still apply, Peters continued. The pressure on the opposing quarterback is going to weigh more than the defense against the running game, especially the way this league is. But ideally, you want Myles Garrett, that's the player you want. But there's only one guy like that in the world. But a lot of those traits are the same, right? Being tall, fast, explosive, able to go around the defense, able to finish, all of that, Peters explained. In terms of players with shorter arms, and there are some in this draft who are really very good players, the Commanders have a clear idea of the pass rush archetype they desire for the future. The Commanders consider many factors when it comes to prospects for the pass rusher position, but Peters went into more detail about arm length. Arm length is something that, I could talk for days about it, because every time you measure someone's arm, it could be 30, 31, 32, 33 inches, Peters said. Depending on who measures, then you get a good idea of the arm length based on that. But what really matters is how well the person plays, regardless of arm length, Peters continued. Some guys have shorter arms who play with great reach and extension all the time. Others have very long arms who don't take advantage of that reach. So, it's great to have that reach, but it's also important how they use it and how that shows up on tape, Peters explained. Some guys can stand out with shorter arms doing things differently, but ideally, you always want the advantage of longer arms to create leverage in one-on-one situations. At the end of the day, regardless of a player's arm length, they need to have genuine talent to play in the NFL. They need to be ready to play a physical and violent game. And that's exactly the kind of player defensive coordinator Durante Jones wants for his defensive unit. As a fan, I hope Peters finds the right pass rushers to transform our defense by 2026. So, fan, after finding out that Bobby Wagner might be leaving as a free agent despite being the Walter Payton Man of the Year, understanding that Tyler Biadasz was waived, leaving a hole in the offensive line, and knowing exactly what Adam Peters is looking for in a pass rusher with an emphasis on pressure on the quarterback, which of these situations concerns you the most? Do you believe we should try to keep Bobby Wagner even if he doesn't fit perfectly into Jones's system? Or would it be better to let him go and invest in younger, more athletic players?